So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, sunshines. It is unbelievably the 15th of July, and I am super excited by our guest today because this is a woman who is in the mastermind program that I am in. So she's someone I bounce ideas off of, someone we're watching and doing the journey of entrepreneurship with. And this is one of those things where I said, I've got a crazy idea. Do you want to come play? And she's like, sure. But please give a very warm welcome to Shawna Champlin. She is a wonderful woman who is she runs a company called Shining Outcomes. What I love is that she is helping people get out of the toxic corporate world, get their life on track, fall back in love with what they're all about, and leading from the front in some really challenging conversations. So please give a very warm welcome. Welcome to our community of entrepreneurs chasing dreams and making a positive impact.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon. Thank you for having me. I adore working with you on the mastermind. You're so innovative and so on top of it, and your ideas are just so they're succinct and direct and get you what you need. And I know you do that on your site. So I'm excited to get to talk with you today because if people aren't working with you, they should be. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Well, I appreciate, you having my back. And that's a really important part of why we're in this community, because when you start your journey, I always want to start at the beginning, which is like, did you imagine that you would be an entrepreneur? Or like, how did the plot twist in your storyline happen that you suddenly went, okay, I am going to go create what I'm not seeing out there? And how did that story start unfolding for you?
I was someone who was in corporate America for 30 years. And I followed the normal path, right? What some people call normal. You're supposed to go to high school and go get a degree if you're not going to go to trade school. And I did that. I got a degree in something that I did not use, and which I think is kind of normal, right? And my
25% of people finish their
exactly
degree and go and complete it.
exactly. And I spent 30 years in corporate America, and I ended the last half of my career in program and project management, and it was insane. The way that I put it, I was killing myself in corporate America. And it's just a matter that, the goals were extensive. They were, when I say extensive, I mean unrealistic. So wanting to accomplish things in time periods without resources, without the teams that you needed, and concatenating that time period. So if it was something that took a year, it was going, oh, we can do this in 8 months. And I'm looking at going, but it takes a year. That's why we say that, right? We've done all the planning, and sometimes you weren't even allowed to do planning. And I looked at this and I thought, I would get members on my teams I'd have a leader tell me, oh, they're not an A member of the team. So if you're going grades A through F, right? And they're like, well, they're really a C player. And I'm like, what are you talking about? They've got this skill and this skill, and they're really strong, and they perform for me. And I don't know what you're talking about. And it kept happening. And I kept looking, going, are we not looking at people for what they bring to the table, and are we not empowering them? And I kept trying and trying to change the culture, and it didn't change. And I thought, I can't keep doing this. I'm gaining weight. I gained 100 pounds in corporate America. 100 pounds. That's a lot of weight. That's a lot to carry, right? A lot of burden physically, and then also with the goals that we're trying to accomplish. And I got tired of having people work themselves to the bone and me having to lead that when I didn't align with that kind of approach. I don't think that was their intent, but that ended up being the outcome. And I just think you can have better outcomes. And I think that if people knew what their skills were and what they bring to the table, then they would do better. And so I started having, we started doing layoffs. That happens. And people would come to me and like, oh, I'm getting laid off and I don't know what to do. And I've always worked in claims and I don't know how to reuse my skills. And I'd be like, are you kidding me? Don't you have a team over here? And aren't you doing project management? And aren't you and I just started naming all their different skills, and their eyes would open like the skies had parted, right? And they didn't recognize the brilliance. And I kept doing this over and over and helping people get jobs. I've been doing it my whole career, and I didn't realize that is a skill. So it's the same
in its own. Yeah.
Parted, right? The clouds parted. And I thought, what am I doing? Why am I working on someone else's goals instead of my own? And I retired from corporate America the day before my 51st birthday, because I said, I am not starting my 51st year doing this anymore. And I need to make changes, and I can make a positive impact. I can help others. So I leaped into it, and I love it. And I'm so thankful I did. My life has changed drastically in so many positive ways. And I love being able to help others do the same thing because they're deserving. They're deserving of a better life.
It's such an interesting thing because I know not everyone's journey in corporate's, always glowing. It does have its cycle. Some roles are great and some tasks are rage. But I think the interesting thing is like do more with less became like this, like the last 20 years of corporate America was like always do more with less. And it's so lean and the expectations are so high that you do give and give and give because there is always the expectation that you're replaceable because you are. That we can find somebody who's maybe not going to be the squeaky wheel. And so we're going to put you on a performance improvement plan, even though you're leading from a place of integrity and passion. And I want us to succeed. And I think, gosh, if I had you as a leader in my organization, I would have been a very blessed individual because you do have this great ability. And what I love, not only just with your company name, but the way that you approach your service offering, which is start with the end in mind, which is the outcome and the result. And this is something I've been chatting about this week on the platform because someone's been in my head a little bit about the reason and so many people struggle is they don't know their value.
Oh, 100%.
And because they don't know what the result is, you can't see this often for yourself, which is why having a thinking partner can be really valuable. But would you agree? Do you think people are getting their value or why are we unable to see it?
I think it resonates from a lot of different things. I think that people are often put in boxes and told these are your skills and this is what you do. I think the other part is that one of the biggest mistakes I see happen by leaders, whether you're in corporate America, you're an entrepreneur, when you go and you have members on your team, you should be asking, so tell me about your history. What have you done? And then the more important question is, what do you love to do? What really gets you passionate? Because if they're telling you, I don't like doing X, and you put them in a role doing X, they're not going to perform optimally. So they're being misutilized. I don't think that, we tend to pick a role and say, this is what you're going to do versus here's all the skills you have. And here's the myriad of offerings of how we can utilize you and how you can best reach an outcome with us. Say the goal is to go ahead and implement, 15 servers quickly, which with AWS can be done very quickly. But you have to have the right skill sets. But then you have others who are like, I want to do that. But you keep using only the skill you think they're good at, and you're not giving them growth opportunities. So we tend to pigeonhole people and get them stuck in an area, and then they believe that's all that they have. They don't see that they can go learn those skills. If you're not getting it in your career, go do it outside. Go build up the opportunities for yourself. There's so many people that have needs that want and need your skills, and somebody who wants to learn, that's huge. There are a lot of places where people do not take the initiative. And if you're someone who has initiative, that's something that can't be taught.
I think it's lightning in a bottle.
It is. It is. And I just think that we get told a message and then we believe it. And then we limit ourselves. And there's nothing to be limited about. And then we start to dull our shine. Right?
Yeah, I love that. Love that. Because I think it's true, guys. So here's your message. I want you to be thinking about two things, especially as it relates to you in your life right now, whether you're in a corporate role, whether you have a side hustle, whether you are contemplating or questioning your path on your journey as an entrepreneur. What are the pieces that you love? And I want you to go back and review this. This is something I do in my Visualize Your Future worksheet, which, guys, you can download that on my homepage. It's a great resource that it's reflective of what do I want to do next. If you don't connect regularly to the pieces that you love, you wither. And you start getting really stuck into, well, I have to go do this and it's a comfort zone. But you're right. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you have to do it. And imagine the opposite. If you could do something where you were lit, if you could do something where you were contributing to a wider story, how would it make you feel?
If you think about it, you'd be so empowered because you're doing what you love. I mean, there's no rocket science around this, but we make it rocket science. The reality of it is, we were born with these amazing skills and then we're told that we aren't. And then we believe it. And then we don't expand our minds to look at and go, wow, I really like doing this. Why am I still doing this that I don't like doing? And we stay there. And that's toxic. That's choosing toxicity. right? You're choosing an environment that doesn't support what you love, what you enjoy, and what is fulfilling. So like you said, I mean, I'm 100% behind what you said.
Yeah.
100%.
So if you start to think about, okay, I'm in a sticky mess and I am in something toxic, and I just want to use that word broadly, like something toxic where you feel like you're stagnating, you feel like you're not moving. What habits or what actions do people need to take to start to move them forward? Because truth is, many people don't move.
Right.
So
Right.
when you're working with people, like what do you see as the habit or the action that starts the shift? Because that's the piece I want to call for you and to call to this community is, we are about the action takers. So what do you start to see? What's the spark? What's the genesis that you tend to see? If you look back on all the people you've helped or all the people you've connected to, what does it look like?
I think the number one thing, there's a lack of self-awareness. So you really have to take a look and do an evaluation, right? So if you're not really looking at what is the situation, what is it that is working for you, what isn't working for you, and then what decisions have you been making? So if you've been making decisions that are not empowering and don't lead you towards things that bring you joy versus things that are complacent, things that bring you down, then you have to ask yourself, I've got a mindset issue and I need to make a consistent mind shift to go towards things that I love. We often do things out of obligation, and obligation should not be in your vocabulary. Obligation is not, it's not a positive word. If you're doing something out of obligation, it's because you're required because somebody else wants you to do it versus something that is integrity or aligned with yourself. So I think when I say an evaluation, I mean, what is it that really matters to you? So I have people sit down, do an evaluation of what are the most important things to them, whether that's love, connection, if it's career, security, certainty, whatever those things are. And then you have to start saying, okay, am I living that? And then you start to see just how disoriented it is. And when it is, you go, okay, what do I want? And that's probably the number one thing I get from people who are looking in careers. They don't know what they want to do. And I actually don't find the jobs for people. I help people align their skills, their descriptions, and their interview skills towards the roles that they want. But I do help them delineate what are different types of roles that might fulfill those needs. And I think that one of the things that I see people do consistently is they sit there and they go, oh, I have to look in. And yeah, you have to do the work. If you don't own it, like you have to look at your part. So I said earlier that I was killing myself in corporate America. Well, it's not like my company had me by the neck and saying, you must do this. Shawna was overworking herself. She wasn't following her values of having balance in her life. When I say not having balance, I'm talking working. There were days that I did implementations where I didn't sleep for 4 days in a row. I'm tethered to the computer, and a total of 4 days, I've maybe taken 30 minutes, and that's just to do the quick bio breaks. My significant others bringing food to me at the table. If you think that's a healthy thing, you need to rethink yourself. And that's different. I don't ever want to work full time again. I plan on working no more than 32 hours a week. There'll be weeks that I work more than that, but I'm able to live a lifestyle that mirrors my values, right? Which is to really take a peek at what's important to you. And you have to own your part. I have to own my part that I didn't choose to take care of me. And I think that's the part is self-awareness, doing an evaluation, aligning what really are your goals, what's your, and make sure your integrity aligns with that. Because if you're doing things that aren't aligned with your integrity, you're already off track. You're not even on the right path. You haven't even touched the path. The yellow road is out there, and you're over here, in a meadow that's total artificial intelligence because it's not even a meadow. It's a dump truck dumping trash because you're staying there versus really getting on your path. And I think once you've done that, you got to own it and you got to forgive yourself and say, okay, I'm worth more. I have skills. I have value. And I'm not just talking in a career, but in your life, right? If you got goals, you want to go do something, you want to run a marathon, guess what? You're capable. You want to save money, pay off your credit card, you can do it. You want to build a business, you can do it. There's not anything you're limited to unless you tell yourself you're limited. And I just think that we vacillate. And it just, when you're willing to stand up and go, okay, what is my story? What's my situation? Why did I make those choices? Do those choices align with me? They don't. Okay, I'm going to start a new path. And trust me, it is freeing. It is so freeing. Life is a lot easier, and there's a lot less, there's just no limitation. The opportunities are boundless. There's no boundaries.
Favorite words. And I want to linger on two comments, because I just want you to hear how strong this is. We've heard this actually from some others who I've come to interview, and I think that's why I want to linger here. And it's, there's a perception that, someone's making you commit to something. In this case, 100-hour work week in a really toxic environment. But you said something that was really clear. It's like, nobody was actually making me. Like, there was no bullet to my head. I had, yes, fears associated to the other choices, but it's that truth that you've got to choose you. And we, particularly women, and there's a lot of women in this community, it's not exclusive women, but that we feel this real hero sense of like, I'm just going to give to other people. It's so much easier to give for other people. But I will tell you, when you start to make the decision, and I always say, I actually think entrepreneurship is actually a risk mitigating strategy more than it is the crazy path that people think it is, because the one person you have to bet on is you.
Right.
And I will tell you, you've been through every hard moment, every decision you've ever made. Those are choices. And if the path you're on isn't the right choice anymore, because we evolve, then make a reflection of your choices and shift a different choice. It is going to come down to you putting many lines in the sand. It's not always one that says, I need to choose me.
Right.
Something is really out of whack. And yet I always love, and that's one thing I love about you, is like, there was hope that this doesn't have to be like this forever. But no one's going to save me, because I have the ability to save myself when I choose me. And that doesn't mean that I'm sure every day was perfect. So let's take a shift. You've made the decision to leave. You celebrate an awesome 51st birthday and say, like, I am going into this path. Is it what you thought it would be? And how easy, hard, roller coaster did the first year feel?
I would say the first year for me has been a roller coaster, because I did some prototyping to make sure that what I wanted to offer was going to work. And that was successful, but I was also trying to decompress. So when I left corporate America, I took about 3 to 6 months of dabbling in prototyping and decompressing, because I was so at a level of, I must operate here all the time and everything. I was just insane. I mean, there's really no other word for it. My husband literally told me, I need you to come back. I know you're in there somewhere. And so when I took that time down, my business coach who were with the mastermind said, Sean, don't start this. And I said, okay, well, I'll do some prototyping. I think the biggest hurdle was, I had always told myself and had relied upon in corporate America on an IT team who makes things happen. You are your own CEO, your own chief financial officer, your own CIO, CTO. And for me to sit there and reprogram those messages that you can learn this technology, you can learn these things, you can learn these tools. And so that was my biggest hurdle. And then wanting to do everything myself and realizing there's certain things that, here I am, said earlier, just because you can doesn't mean you should. And if someone else has the skill set and can do it better and faster and teach you in the process, which is one of my preferences. I don't like to rely 100% on somebody else, because if they're not available, I should still know how to move forward. Again, may not be in my wheelhouse, but that's something that's been really good. I think the biggest shift for me has been mindset of not having to operate at 200%, 24/7, 365, but rather, okay, I'm going to give 100% when I go in and meet with my clients. And then I'm going to take time and I'm going to go garden, and I'm going to go work on our property. I live up in beautiful North Idaho. I'm going to start living, and I've started doing more things. I've met a lot more people. And I think that was probably the initial thing for me is, when you work in corporate America, you have this belief that I don't know how to market. I don't know how to sell. I don't know how to do things. And there are so many opportunities to learn from other leaders like yourself who have the skills and the knowledge and that are willing to show you and teach you and help you and coach you. So it's about relying on getting those resources, building those connections. And there's so many opportunities. There's so many different mediums. So for me, that was really more relieving. I think sometimes I get a little second guessing on things, when I have a real good moment and I know I nailed it and really helped this client and they've got what they needed and they're going forward. When they're happy, I'm elated. And this high is so high. And I think the thing we need to do is, how do we maintain that high? How do we maintain that place of service? Because that's where I feel great. And doing some of the more mundane things that I might label mundane, and someone else is like, man, I love that. Again, it goes back to source it out if you need to. And I'm not there yet at sourcing out. I have one member on my team that I've had, and she's waiting on things for me to give to her that she can do. So it shows you, if I keep putting it on the back burner, I really shouldn't be doing it. I should be handing it off. So.
Well, it's an interesting one. And I think this is a really important thing. And I'm going to give you, this is absolutely a good piece of advice. So get your notepads and pens right now, because this is the gold nugget. Even when you are outsourcing and areas where other people have expertise that you can leverage, you do not abdicate responsibility for it. And you need to choose people that you partner with and say, yes, I want you to carry the bulk of the weight or the speed at which we can run, but take me on the journey. So that can be, teach me, tell me why you need this information. How is this connected? What does it connect to? That is so important. I had somebody reach out to me this week who had abdicated their sales and is in a real sticky mess because they've paid for somebody to sell on their behalf. They paid the bill and had no clients come out of it. And I said, were you involved in the sales process? Did you sit in on the calls? Have you listened to some transcripts? Have you really understood? Because you've sold in the past and sold into this event, and now you have no clients in the next event, you've outsourced it. Part of the reason is you're abdicating responsibility by saying, I'll just write the check. You still need to know how it connects. And I love the fact that you said, teach me, because I will go more quickly, but I also now understand it to start to feel, how does it connect to other things I want to do? Because at the end of the day, you are the conductor, orchestrator of the storyline. And so guys, the nugget is, ask people who want to partner with you, take me on the journey. And remember, you don't outsource the responsibility for the decisions. You need to audit the work and make sure it's good value for what you need. And what works for one person might not be relevant for what works for you. So, that's where a network in a community like this can be so valuable. And I always say to people, come into this community to say, I'm thinking I might need some support here. Who does that? Because maybe there's someone here who does it. And then let's have a conversation. I'm not suggesting you don't pay for the services, but get them to help you think, what are the questions I should ask if I start to move down this outsourcing road? Right. What does a good collaboration look like from your side and from my side? And, don't run yourself into a corner where you feel like I just need to just pay the check. Do it intentionally, because it will, yes, be slower, but accelerate you longer term. And remember, it's important to take time to slow down, because that's the second thing I want to say. Good kudos to you, because I think we often want to run Mach 10 at hair on fire, especially if we've come from something where that's normal. And I know I've definitely had periods in my life where people are like, if you could work on 25% your speed, you'd make us all look bad. And I'm like, what do you mean? But it isn't about working yourself into the ground. It is about focused effort and the life you want. So I love the fact that you're starting to find time that you don't need permission to go garden.
Right.
But are you gardening because it's a great thing and a reward and fun and it's a great place to think? Or are you gardening because you're hiding from the fact I don't want to do the ugly bits of my business?
It's actually, for me, it's relieving and a de-stressor. And where I garden, I have a beautiful view of the mountain that's behind our home. So any stress I have just immediately goes down. And I notice it helps my energy to be more creative. Because I get into an open space where literally there's nothing in my brain that I'm going, I have to do this and I have to do that. The lists that we make, right? And that when I see it, I'm like, oh, I got to get this done and this done. But when I go out there, it's like it stops me from that cycle and says, okay, time out. And I get some ideas. And when I get the ideas, then I can come back in and start implementing them. I do find when I am procrastinating, that's a pain point, and that's when I engage with my coach, right? Or I engage with another peer, whether it's in the mastermind or I'm in other memberships, where I go ahead and engage with other people who sit there and go, well, have you tried this and this? And I went out and got some certifications that help me to eliminate procrastination. So that I can, if I can help others with it, then I need to be helping myself. And that was my whole point, was let me get certified in some things so I can fix some areas about myself and then move forward. You know, it's like buying all the self-help books and then never opening them up, right? Versus let me go get the certifications for myself, and then, wow, this could apply in my business.
Yeah.
So it was secondary to make it in my business, but it was more about, where does Shawna need some improvement?
And recognize that this, you don't come fully hatched. So you've taken this enormous transition. I love the momentum you're building in your business. I said it's a real privilege to be in the room to get to see it. But there is the moment of, I am still a work in progress. And I want to tell you guys, here's a tip, from a coaching perspective, is your audience wants to see your journey and relate to the fact that, I must lead myself first. Why that's so important is because it's not enough to know. And I know we had this post earlier in the community this week. It's not enough to know. You must apply and you must do. And I am very focused my whole life on the implementation. Like, I have a great idea, let's run. And let's embrace doing it messy, and realizing that you're constantly reevaluating, constantly saying, what must I do? And then, can I apply and share the knowledge? So I want to look back, and then we'll look forward and wrap up. But when you look back, what's one thing you wish you had done or recognized earlier in your journey that held you back?
That I would have left my career sooner. I wish I would have left my career sooner. And I had some financial obligations, putting a son through college, preparing so that we'd be able to buy our retirement home, and live in a comfortable area to where I could launch my business. So I did a preparation financially to ensure that I felt comfortable coming from a place where certainty is a high value for me. And then feeling like I could launch it and move forward. But I would have left my job sooner. I would have taken the steps sooner for freedom, because that's what my business offers me. And I didn't realize just how important that was until you can look back and you can remember what you did, meaning, wow, I really didn't make me a priority. And now I help others make themselves a priority. And so if I would have left my career sooner, so I could have started my business sooner, I would have done it. I would have done it
to help more people. Yeah,
absolutely.
And so now, cast you the future. What are you excited about? I'm going to say in the next 6 to 12 months, like when you cast your vision to what's building. Because guys, we said, you're not always in control in exactly the timeline. Your effort and focus definitely plays a role, but there is some, moments that come not on the pace you want. But what keeps you hopeful as you look into the next 6 to 12 months? Where do you see that goes, that's the fire? I'm still really connected to my why. And thanks, Barbara, for talking about that, because it's true. Like, what is pulling you forward to the next?
For me, it's actually twofold. I think the matter that the more clients that I help and see them progress, because one of my major missions is to change corporate America. I want to help emerging leaders become the leaders that we need, not the leaders that we have today. Often people who are promoted into the positions do not have the skills or tools, and they're not taking care of the people. They're actually doing just the opposite. And it becomes a power struggle. And it's not about power. It's about reaching your goals and empowering others so that they can move forward in their careers. And that, to me, the more people you can get promoted and move forward, to go ahead and propagate a positive, empowering environment is imperative to the success of corporate America. I think when we can get there, that's when we're going to see tremendous change. The other thing is a personal journey that I'm working on so that I can add a new line of business. And that is, as I go through my health journey this year, I'm begin documenting, and I've got some goals this summer. Once I complete some of those goals, one of my rewards is going back out and doing some of the crazier things that I used to do. So I'm going to go parasailing over Lake Coeur d'Alene. I live in beautiful North Idaho, and having put on 100 pounds, has put me in the plus size arena. And that's great for those who are comfortable in that. But for me, my body just doesn't feel good. And so really trying to document that journey, what steps I've taken, and then start refocusing on living what I used to do, which is I like to jump off cliffs into lakes and do fun things. Yes, I love it. I love martial arts. I like kayaking, doing all sorts of fun things. And I've been very limited. And I want people who are of a plus size arena to understand you are not limited by your body. You're just limited by your mind. Mm-hmm. And I'm so excited about some of the certifications that I've got so I can start documenting so I can help a whole nother population just to see again, you're not limited. Life is here. Go enjoy it. And as long as we're moving forward, whatever that might be for somebody's journey. But for me, that's my big thing is moving forward and for me to quit looking back with regret, but to look back and look and say, wow, look at the growth, look at the opportunities, look at the choices I've made that have allowed me more opportunities and to help others in that process. I don't believe that you are in this world by yourself unless you choose to be. And I just can't live like that. I got to take more people on the journey with me and move forward. And, Robert Fulghum did a poem. It's like everything I learned in kindergarten. And he always says, the last line of the poem is, grab hands, look both ways and cross the street together. And I feel that way. The more we can empower people in leadership, the more we can empower them to live their lives, then we are going to be in a completely different place than we are now, not just individually, but holistically as a community. And I think that's imperative for our success in this world. And so
I think it is about the ripples of change, and I love what you're up to, because I always say, entrepreneurship is the opportunity. It's a path to be the change you want to see. But I also remind entrepreneurs, our goal is to be the kind of leaders that the world needs and to give back by expanding our teams, expanding our business, contributing the way we want to do it, to show a different way than working yourself in a toxic environment into the ground. So I'm so grateful you came to chat with us today. She's going to put her contacts into the chat after this, and I'd love you to connect to her, support with her. If you're at the crossroads wondering, how do I get the life I want? You really do want to talk to Shawna about shining outcomes in your future. Thanks for being with us today. Any final thoughts today?
I just want to say thank you so much. You have a beautiful community. You offer so much light, not just in business, but really in what you can do, what you can be, and that you're not limited. I know I've said that word a lot today. And the reason I say it is I just feel that people are walking in trances. And I know that your view is, how do you make a positive impact? Mm-hmm. And I just think it's such a wonderful message. And I just want to say thank you for having me. And I really hope people know my whole reason I named my business is Shining Outcomes. And that's because I believe everybody's a diamond. They're multifaceted, they're valuable, and you are not breakable. And so you're resilient and you have a tremendous amount of brilliance that's natural to you. And I really hope you see that and then you share it, because we need more light in this world. We need more shine on the things that are positive and making a positive impact. And I know that that can be done. So thank you for offering platforms and opportunities for people to connect and for people to grow and for them to expand. And if you have not worked with Christine, you need to reach out with her, because she makes such a positive difference in the lives that she touches. And she does it with such finesse. She makes it look easy, but man, I got to tell you, what an amazing human being you are. And I just want to say thank you for your friendship and for your leadership. We need more of you in this world.
Thank you. So much fun to be chatting with Shawna, guys. Definitely reach out, connect to her, support her. If you need support and know someone who needs her, please do. Just take the initiative and put yourself first. It's okay to bet on yourself. We are hereby giving you permission. Hope you have an awesome weekend. Be back here. I am still keeping my commitment to be live here every day through the month of July. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks, Shawna, so much for being here, guys. Be back here for another episode. If every business owner has a story, we look forward to presenting more amazing leaders who are going to make the commitment to be out there, chase their dreams, and make a positive impact. We will catch you soon. See you soon.